Hey, this is Nathan from Harrison Consoles. In this video, I'm going to take the tracks that I recorded in the last video and show some basic editing that we've improved in Mixbus32c 7.1. So let's go to the screen and let's take a look. Alright, so what we have is some basic tracks. We have a bass, a few guitars, and a Superior Drummer drum kit. So first thing we're going to do is clean up this bass track. We're going to do some slip editing that can be done with a modifier and a mouse. So if we look at the first measure here, we have the grid lines. We can turn snap on or off if we want. We can also make these 16th notes. So let's listen to the first few measures and see what we need to do for this bass track. So overall the tone is really good, but the performance could be tightened up just a little bit. So we can see around beat 3 and beat 4, we get a little ahead. So with my edit point set to the mouse, I can just hover my mouse over here. Let me take the snap off so I can move my mouse freely. And now I can just press S and we can go ahead and split right here as well. And let's hold down Command and Shift. And when I click, you can see the mouse turns to an arrow. And I can slide that back and forth. Alright, so we're going to slide this back, and now let's listen. Okay, so one thing that I noticed that this note is a little behind, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and see if there's another layer that gives us a little better option. So if I press Shift and then right bracket, so here's overlaid and here's stacked. And there's really not another option in this area. But what I can do is just split this right here. And then we'll go ahead and hold down Command Shift and slide this over. And let's just see what happens. Now with bass, you can get away with a lot of stuff in the mix. You really can't tell as far as editing goes. So let's listen to that again and make sure it's exactly what we want. Let's slide over here. Let's listen to measure 6. Okay, a little bit behind in this area right here, maybe a little ahead on this one. So let's go ahead and split these up and we can move them around. So I'm going to shift this one back and I'm going to slide that and maybe slide this over, and then we can shift the whole thing. Now if I choose stacked view, I can go over and I can see a little bit better exactly the crossfade that's going to be happening here. So let's listen to measure 6 again. Okay, something's going on around measure 8, so let's check that out. Okay, and we can see visually that we have a few beats that are ahead right here. So let's cut this up. And we're going to shift it back. About right there. This lines up okay, but these two hits were ahead. And sometimes you want to look for consistencies in the playing, because sometimes maybe a 4-bar or 8-bar measure can be consistently ahead, and what you can do is just cut it at the beginning and the end of where you see it needs to be moved, and then you can shift the whole thing. So let's just keep working in smaller increments here. Alright, so we're going to slide this back. And we can always adjust the crossfade. You can see that right there that we are crossfading between these 2 points. So let's listen from back here. Okay, all that is ahead. All of it. So this is a good point to look at the consistency of things. And this is where our edit point is over here. So let's just go ahead and slide all this back. I can see it lines up there, roughly lines up here. So now let's listen to what we got. This one's probably a little bit behind, but these are ahead a little bit still. Just looking for consistencies in the playing and see what we can adjust. Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's take notice of what we have here. Maybe slide that back. See that crossfade going on? So once again, for that overlaid and stacked views, I'm doing shift, either left bracket for overlaid and right bracket for stacked. And this is the curly bracket, not the straight bracket. All right, so let's go back to measure 8 and listen to what we have. Okay, so really with a little work, we've made this pretty good sounding bass track sound a lot tighter with the drums. Okay, let's move on to the electric guitars, and we can see by the grid some things a little bit ahead, some behind, and all this is ahead of the beat. So we can make a range, press S to split that. And if we want to put this into an editing group, we can just make a quick group and call this guitar. And I do like to have my guitars green, so I'll do that real fast. And these are split. So now if I click on one, it's going to highlight both regions. And now I can just go through and kind of move this back a little bit. Let me split that region, slide that back. And once again, I'm just holding down Command and Shift while I left click on the mouse. That's going to allow me to do that slip editing. Okay, let's just visually go through and see what else we have. We can see these two hits are a little off with each other. May not be a big deal. Let's listen first, and then we can make our edit. Okay, so there's just a little bit of inconsistencies here and there in the playing. Not too big of a deal. Like for instance, if we split that and then crossfade that section, we can see exactly where those crossfades are being made. Little inconsistency of the playing right here. But let's ungroup this for a second. And let's split it. Maybe move this back, and then we can slide this over and then do something like that maybe. So now those hits line up, and then we can pull that. So that's pretty good. Split that right here, slip and slide, edit. Okay, same thing right here. That's a little inconsistent. So I can hold that down, slide it over, and you can see that we do have a crossfade going on. Okay, may not be a big deal, but let's take this whole phrase and let's slide it over. So that way this lines up there. These hits somewhat line up a little bit better. So let's listen to what we have up until measure 6.5. Okay, I heard something. So one, you can visually see where you need to edit, but you can also hear it from time to time as well. Let's go ahead and ungroup this right here. We can make a range selection, then edit this. We can slide it over, and let's hold down Shift and use our mouse wheel to kind of scroll a little bit. Make a range tool, split that. Maybe slide that back a little bit to line up with that hit. Okay, so don't feel like you have to edit every little thing that you see, but this is really just for demonstration purposes. So all this is consistently ahead. So what I'll do is I'll split it right here, and then just take this, slide it over. And it does make for a slightly tighter performance as well. So now let's listen to the guitar with the drums, and then we'll put the bass guitar in, okay? Okay, so I did notice that one guitar part had a little extra chinky chink in there that the other one doesn't have. So for instance, if I listen to this part, and that's not bad. It's just a little nuance between the two different parts. I think this one has the extra chink in it. Okay, so I could technically go and copy and paste that over the other parts. Let's just see what happens if I do that. So let's make a range selection, press edit, and then if I hold down control, I can slide this over and it'll copy it. Okay, so now I'm just going to put that right where the other one is. Okay, you can see if I start moving it, I can see the other transient right below it, which is cool. I can place that right there. So let's listen to that. Make sure this does line up a little bit with all the hits. Okay, not bad, but let's just say I want to do that again. So I'm going to copy this one, slide it over, like so. Let's listen. Now let's bring the bass guitar in and see how these parts sound together. Now, I think we do have a little bass slide in here, so let's check that out. Now, I vaguely remember that possibly in another playlist that he had a slightly different bass intro. So let's make a range selection here. And we're going to go back to take 9. Let's see if we can find something that's going to fit. Let's pull this back. And let's go to take 10. Let's pull that back. All right, now let's listen to what we have for these different comps. So there's comp 2. Okay, let's check it out. So remember, when we do this, we have to make sure our mouse is set to playhead edit and not mouse edit. And I can make a range. And we can copy. Go to comp 2. We can paste. Now I paste it right in there. So let's listen to what we have. Okay, we have a little bit of a weird edit right here. So let's get rid of our playlist box and let's just slide this back, maybe about right there. Cool, let's listen one more time. So remember, when I went to my stacked view, I can see all the different regions stacked on top of each other, and I can still go into my playlist. I can see what that would look like in the different playlists. So there's my comp. That's what we did lunchtime on Thursday, if I ever wanted to get back to that. But this is my comp 2 playlist, and this has all the different regions that I pulled from other playlists and made it one comp. Okay, so I do like that feature of the playlist and how it gives me some freedom to still use layers, but also get back to a different playlist if I need to. I can just copy and paste from different playlists. So that's really, really cool. We have another guitar down here, just with the drums and guitar. Okay, that sounded a little odd to me. Let's pull this back and see what happens if we do something like that. So it's kind of like a slide thing. So because we have a hit there, but we also have a hit right here. But we can see that this is behind the beat. So what we can do is either pull the region back and then do a slip edit. Something like that. That should be good. So let's check that out. Okay, maybe pull this back so that way this lines up with that a little bit better. See what happens if we take that away. All right, very cool. I like that so far. Let's go ahead and put that in overlaid view. And we'll do the same thing with the low guitar. Let's check that out. Okay, I heard something. And if you can hear it, then you can more likely you can see it as well. So we're gonna split this region right here, and let's move it back into range. We'll take this and we'll bump that up. All right, let's check it out. Okay, I heard this was behind, and it was. So let's take this, slide it back, and we'll slide this back. Now that allows us to use our slip and slide edit. Something like that. Okay, let's listen. Okay, and that's still behind. Now remember from the last video, this is the part that I actually slowed down by 2 semitones. So therefore I played it in a different spot on the neck. And it just gives a slightly different tone rather than just outright playing it exactly the same way I did before. So another great feature of Vari-Speed and how you can actually change the timbre of your instrument and not just the pitch and the timing and all that fun stuff. All right, let's unsolo all this and let's get a decent mix going and maybe use some EQ, compression, and see what we can get from this little disco-esque kind of jam. Okay, so I have my 2 main guitars right here, and let's get those balanced with the drums. That's a little crunchy sounding to me. Let's go ahead and roll off a lot of that bass and just thin it out. And maybe take a low band and find where that mud is. Okay, do the same thing for the other guitars. Just roll off a lot of that low end, thin it out. Okay, let's bring in the high jangle guitars. Still something in there that's a little off. Let's see if we can find where it is. I think it's these little bits right here. So let's take this and let's just slide it over. Line that up. And let's bring in the bass. Alright guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. There's a lot of really cool features here in the 7.1 update, so be sure to go to the website and grab that when you can. And also subscribe and click that bell so you'll be notified when we release new videos in the series. And once again, thanks guys for watching. I'm Nathan from Harrison Consoles. I'll see you in the next video.